That's a really good question. How do we help a good friend who is struggling with a season of depression? And I have four things, four things for you that I think will be helpful. Some practical steps you can take. So first off, pray. Sometimes it feels like prayer is that thing that we do when nothing else is working, so we pray. It's kind of a last resort. And that shouldn't be so. Prayer should be our first response when we encounter a problem, especially a problem as complex and intricate as depression. We may not be able to understand all of the reasons why our good friend is being depressed in this moment. It could be a host of complicated reasons that are way outside of your pay grade. You have no idea how to deal with them, but God does, and so we can pray. Prayer in itself it's a proclamation of our inability to accomplish a certain task, but a reliance upon God's ability to do it. So I can pray knowing that I have a power source of an infinite, all-powerful God who can accomplish whatever he wills. And it is his delight to answer my prayers. So Paul prays for the Ephesians in Ephesians 3:16 that their inner man may be strengthened. That's a good prayer to pray for your friend who is struggling with depression. Pray that their inner man be strengthened. So we can pray. Secondly, we can show them grace. Typically, the world says that, love and acceptance are built on conditions being met. So the world says, I will be your friend, or I'll be in a relationship with you if you have something to offer me. If our personalities match, if it's fun being around you, or if it's advantageous for me to be your friend. The gospel, however, says the exact opposite. The gospel says that we should love others as Christ loved us. And so we just need to think, how did Jesus love us when we were in the seat of receiving love? And he did not love us depending on our ability or our goodness or any conditions. He loved us unconditionally. He loved us because he loved us. And his love, it was a one-way, one-direction kind of love. He loved without expectation of return. So we need to love others like that. We need to communicate to our friend who is depressed that no matter what happens, if they never get out of this depression, if they are under this fog for the rest of their life, we'll be there. We'll love them. Our love does not depend on the quality of their emotional state. We love them. So we need to show them grace. We need to show them that kind of overwhelming, baffling, upside-down kind of love that the world doesn't really have. Thirdly, we need to speak truth to them. And we can only speak truth if we're first showing them grace. That's very important. We need to be doing that. Otherwise, our truth that we're speaking will come across as the opposite of helpful. So when I'm in a state of depression, remember Bunyan talked about the swamp. And in the swamp, when you're there in the swamp of depression, you can't see clearly. And you need someone who is outside of it to help you guide through the swamp, to point out the steps that you can walk through without slipping into the mud. So when I'm in a state of depression, I need someone to remind me of the gospel. I need to be reminded that Jesus Christ was ultimately lost, ultimately forsaken by the Father, and my sins were judged and condemned in him, and I have now received the righteousness of Christ, and I've been accepted by the Father, and that will never be lost. I need to be reminded of that. When I'm depressed, I feel kind of like everything is lost, kind of like there's no point anymore, and the one thing I was hoping for in life has been taken from me. That's not true. The gospel tells us that we have a sure connection with the Father and we are safe. We need to be reminded of that. And I need to be reminded that no matter what happens in my life, God is in control. It may be confusing. It may even be hard to come to grips with when we're in a state of depression. But we need to know that even our depression is something that God is in control of. It's not something that he dropped the ball on, but he is loving us, he's taking care of us, and he promises that he will work all things, including depression, together for our good. I need someone to help me with that. Fourthly, a way that you can help a good friend who is in a state of depression is you need to just be present. You need to just be there. Often, if I'm depressed, I feel guilty being around other people because I feel like I don't have a lot to offer. I just feel kind of like I'm so collapsed in upon myself that like I'm just going to be dragging everyone else down if they're around me. And this is where we can show them grace in this, that we can just be with them. And this is really important. You need to do things with your friend that are on their emotional level. So don't drag them to a party when that's not what they want. Don't, force them to talk about their feelings when that's not what they want. Sometimes you just need to be a presence. Sit and watch a movie with them. Play a board game. Go on a walk. Do something that you know that they enjoy, but that isn't too trying on them. And again, it just communicates to them that you love them and you care about them and you're going to be there. So those are 4 steps. There's a lot more that we could talk about, but that's a good place to start. So you want to pray for your friend. That's a first response. We want to show them grace, be patient, be understanding. We want to speak truth to them in love, remind them of the gospel, remind them of God's sovereignty, and we just want to be present in their lives. Those are 4 good steps that you can take to begin to help a friend who is struggling with depression. I hope that's helpful.